no call. Shadows creeping down the hall. Little faces torn away, dreams dissolve in lightless gray. Marching on the path of night, for our kids we rise and fight. Justice howls beneath the moon, echoes of a stolen tune. Broken cradles, silent yield, hearts of steel, our only shield. Through the dark we hold our line, for the lost we intertwine. Marching on the path of night, for our kids we rise and fight. Justice howls beneath the moon, echoes of a stolen tune. Hands are bound by unseen chains, caged within the ruling reins. Whispers form a rising storm, strength in unity reborn. Marching on the path of night, for our kids we rise and fight. Justice howls beneath the moon, echoes of a stolen night. For our kids we rise and
In the United States, CPS makes upwards of $3 billion per day on trafficking and selling our children. The corruption may start with the caseworker, but goes through the judicial system, passing the governor through the Senate and into the White House. The entire system has a hand in the business known as CPS.
Our children are stolen every minute of a 24-hour day. They are being robbed of their innocence, their trust, their happiness. As parents, we are isolated and betrayed by a government we trust. States are balancing budgets on kids' lives. Only 12% of the kids taken will be reunified. Title IV funding is being riveted with fraud.
We need to stop CPS and abolish CPS.com is leading the way. Join us.
In 1776, brave men put up a fight, mowing down redcoats, they wanted freedom. They had to fight, and now we take the sacrifice in vain. They loaded their muskets, fired them one by one. That's why we have the freedom to own a gun, but we are blowing it. These freedoms were created by those before us. They were to be something that stays. But now things are so corrupted, they are taking our rights away.
All right, everybody, welcome to my mic was off again. Thanks, Vinny, for telling me it wasn't. So welcome everybody to a Friday night episode of CPS Victims Hunting Justice. I'm your host, CPS Punisher. I want to tell everybody tonight that we did shows, which was everybody here. We had a full-on show lineup tonight. Everybody did a great job. Thank you for that. It's the things that they're doing and the things that you guys are doing as our viewers, listeners, or however you take us in. We thank you guys for liking, subscribing, being part of this stuff, sharing, uploading, sending, doing whatever. All we're here for is to educate you, to activate you, to motivate you, to beat CPS's ass. So that being said, let's bring out Vinny, the freedom fighter, and let's bring out Miss Kim Page. Ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing today? How was your evenings?
That was really good.
Vinny, you sound like you're in a bubble.
What? I'm in a bubble?
Sound like you're in a bubble, buddy. You're in one of your, I think you're in one of your smoking lamps.
Probably.
There you go. Now you sound better. That's Vinny. Vinny, what'd you talk about today in your show?
Quite a bit of things, actually. I read a thing that I wrote to the bar associates because they got back to me. I actually got a chance to talk to Alex from the TPR hearings. So that was kind of
From the TPR hearing seminars, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Very nice. Whoa. That was about a wrap for you. That's what you spoke of. That's what did you get any good stuff that anybody should take note of and take away with that would help them with their cases or anything?
I think they should go back and kind of. I think they should go back and kind of watch the video and see what I had to talk about and kind of educate yourself a little bit onto some of the things that I see from my standpoint, what I had found. You guys need to start getting your files and really dive into everything in your file. Request, request, request. If they deny you, request it again. Your attorneys have to give you your file.
Good stuff, Vinny. Kim, how was your show tonight? What'd you speak of? What's some good hanging up, send them home stuff that you guys talked about? She's now on the mute train.
Yep. We can't hear you, kid.
Kim's on the mute train.
And she's lagging quite a bit too. I noticed that.
Right, while we wait for Kim.
Great, kid. Yep.
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
There's Kim. There we go. Yep, there's Kim. So Kim, what'd you talk about tonight?
There
What did you guys have on your show?
I don't know what the hell happened.
It didn't work, that's for sure.
So I had a foster parent on the show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. She actually has her and her husband have been abused by CPS. Turned advocate, not only parents, but also for the sisters who are being abused by the system.
Oh, wow. So that's awesome. So they've turned from victim to voice.
Correct.
Essentially,
She also
right?
told me about a
That's awesome.
class action lawsuit against some of the counties in North Carolina that's being done, and I actually attached a copy of that to the group chat.
Okay.
So if you want to, there's the parents, you're welcome to share.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I was thinking what I'm going to do here right now is I was going to look to see if when was that on your show that you guys were talking about that?
Today's show.
Thank you, Randy. Very good. Thank you for that.
Earlier, tonight.
No, I know. Jesus Almighty. I know that. When on your show tonight would it have been that you were speaking to them about what you were just talking about? Like end of the show, beginning of the show, middle of the show?
Honestly, probably somewhere in the middle. We talked so much stuff.
Let's see what.
But she had a lot of great information to share, Darren.
Send everybody the lawsuit.
Yeah, and she also shared that foster parents they don't let foster parents know what's really going on.
Well, they don't let them know the truth. Right? Because the rule is supposed to be that the foster parents are just
in the heart of our great
up to par as everybody else, right?
And most of them, did they have children?
No.
So we're talking about people who are still children themselves, who have no children, are judging you as a parent.
Yeah, fresh out of school, don't have any kids, and want to tell you how to be a parent. And I'm one of the older foster parents. I don't mind sharing my age. I'm 47 years old, and I have a 22-year-old biological daughter. And you can't tell me anything that I wouldn't already know.
Well, Santa, I can tell you, you don't look 47. So I guess maybe the stress has done a lot of good for your skin, at least. Children, are they, when the cases are heard, are the children's names abbreviated? Do they say Sam Smith or do they say SS? Do they give them any kind of anonymity?
No, they say their first name, but you can figure it out because whenever they have called the case, they call the case by the parent's full name.
So they don't make sure that these children are put in a situation where they don't go to school the next day and have their classmates go, "Oh, you're in foster care," and start bullying them for it. Wow, that's crazy.
That's a good point right there, Kim. Let's talk about that.
Told me about it may be more toward like.
No, but let's talk about what you just talked about there. What
40
about
minutes,
that?
40 minutes in.
Right, but let's talk about this for a minute. How do you deal with that? What do you do when your kids, like you know, like how do you avoid your kids being scrutinized, being at school and everything, if they're in the foster program? Like what does anybody
Well,
do to make sure that the kids are safe and protected?
That's exactly that's exactly why I was supposed to be protected. The school's
And you
supposed
keep cutting in and out.
to let the parents know or the children know. They're not supposed to have any idea where these kids come from, background.
Right.
Yeah.
But they know. And Kim, you're blurbling a little bit there. I don't know if it's your headset or if it's your
Out and come back in.
Okay, all right, do that. Thank you. So, Vinny, that being said, what we were talking about, what is it? They should be taking precautions so that these kids aren't scrutinized by their classmates for being a foster kid, right? You agree with that?
Absolutely should be. Yep.
Now, what are some things that you know that are done, and maybe in your particulars, to make sure that your kids are protected, even though they're not considered your kids at the point, that the foster kids are, the foster parents, even though you're supposed to still have your rights intact as a parent, as these things, you're not a parent until that TPR gavel comes down, and then you're still their parents for the rest of their lives. You're their biological freaking mom and dad. So they can pound sand if they think that they're going to terminate our rights and make us just walk away from our kids. That's bullshit. It's a lie. It's a gimmick. It's kangaroo courts. It's a bunch of freaking bullshit of unconstitutional adjudication. But anyway, nonetheless, that being said, it still happens. So these kids are already victimized and ripped away from their safety nets. They're already torn away from what family that they did know and put into a stranger's home. And now you're going to put them into a new school where obviously they've just been plopped in, and the kids in school aren't stupid. They know that they weren't there yesterday. So how do you protect these kids doing that? And is there anything that you know of that they're implementing to protect kids from this happening?
I haven't seen so. Not even in my case. I mean, my daughter gets bullied and bit on and everything else while she's at school up there. And they're saying that it's her acting out, biting back, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying, no, my daughter's going to defend herself. And if she's going to get bitten, she's going to bite someone right back.
Yeah, right. You play with the bull, you get the horns, right?
That's right.
But I'll be anxious to see what Kim has to say about this, or what her knowledge says is that if we do have any sort of a program or something that implements some sort of a protection for the kids, that that they don't get called out on being foster kids, because it's just not right that takes place. It's not right that let's see here, what do we got in here? Oh, it's Herberto.
Good evening, Mr. Herberto.
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Doing all right.
How are you?
Hey, we do better if we knew better, Herbert.
Yep, if you knew better, you do better.
That's right. So we're trying to get to knowing. Herbert, what do you think?
Yes, that's correct.
Kids that go into a foster home or to a new family or whatever the hell they want to call that bullshit that they happen when they TPR us, when they go in there, what precautions do you think need to take place, or do you know of any that takes place for them to be protected so that they're not bullied in school for being foster kids? Do you know anything about any of that?
Oh boy, no, that's a tough one, because not only foster kids get bullied, but just kids that not foster kids get bullied.
Right. Well, that's fair
and
enough.
It's always an issue.
Right, but we're talking about that. We're just remaining on the scope for the show about the foster kids. I know that bullying is a big problem. I mean, you bully Vinny around all the time, and we just have to tolerate it. But what I'm saying is what about the foster kids? Because it's already bad enough. We'll take this up after the show, Herbert. We'll take it up after the show in our meeting. Disciplinary portion. How can, or what should, do you think that that's an important thing, that these kids need to be protected some way, somehow, by CPS or the father somehow?
I think it should be. Yes. I think it should be, the protection should start with the CPS dealing with the school. And that the school has to take action against children that may be bullying a child that happens to be a foster child. So if the child's being bullied because he's identified as a foster child and kids are laughing at him, then I think the school should take action, and that should be overseen by CPS, making sure of that. Of course, the foster parents should be involved, but CPS should take the big role in that because they're the ones that made the kid a foster child.
Right, it's their doings. They did it. So
yes, they did it. Yes, they did it. Yeah.
So I mean, that's a good point.
That's what I feel about
that. So yeah, and I don't believe that there's any programs that they have in place right now that act or mimic such a thing. Some sort of a witness, maybe something set up like witness protection, right? Something like that. That way, no one ever knows the true identity or true need why the kids are there.
Right, but you got to realize this. Unless that kid says, "I'm a foster child."
Well, I don't think you're going to find too many kids saying that they're foster children, but I bet you that there's some sort of a welcoming doctrine that's involved with these schools that are saying, "Look at all these things," like showing up.
No. I think that when the foster parent enrolls the kid into school, they may indicate this is my foster child, and I think that should be kept confidential at the enrollment.
Right. Confidentiality of the foster kids is very important, right? And maybe not even letting the school know that that's what they were involved in. Maybe that's a part of this play.
Well,
maybe that's
it's a foster child. It's not adopted. If it was adopted, I think then the parents can say, "Well, I have a child." Period. But since it's a foster child, well, this is true. And if that's the case, then there's not going to be any bullying except for normal bullying.
Right.
Because nobody knows the kid is a foster child.
Right. So we keep that out of it. So we just keep that quiet, amongst everybody. It's never that seems like that's
exactly.
It's a fair shake that nobody ever, not even the schools, are notified that these are foster children. Now we might be missing some sort of services to be rendered to them. That might be a poor thing, but I don't know. It seems like that situation needs to get more, because they do move them around quite a bit. Some kids, you hear stories that it's so sad, but they've been involved in 15 and 16 and 17 different foster homes. So clearly they're shipping them out in between schools and all of these other things. So there's got to be something that's done there to take care of this for them. And
I agree with you. I agree with you, but nobody knows they've been around to 15 different schools except for the schools. The students in the schools don't know that. It's just a new kid coming into school.
Right, and I think that's probably the way it should stay. I don't think they should include the schools in this. Agreed?
I agree.
All right. Benny, you agree? Disagree? Benny? Oh, okay. Hold on. We're holding on for Vinny here. Hey guys, feel free to use the chat. I know there's not a lot of you out there tonight. I know it's a rough night up here in the Northeast. So kind of use this time since there's not a lot of people in there. If you guys have questions that you want answered that we can pay particular attention to, then this is the time to do it. Let's take another couple of peeks of Kim's turn the page here.
A girl that she.
Well, he's mine. He's legally mine now. That's none of your business.
What are you, pal?
He's no longer in foster care. You don't have a say so of what I say to his mother. And
no, it's not live.
Yes, it is.
After she was adopted, I even took this child to the jail so she could meet her father. Even though she doesn't know that that's who he is. But I wanted him to have the opportunity to see her. And I have a relationship now that if he wants to see her, he can contact me. And her biological grandfather sees her every other
You
week.
guys
He
hear me?
comes to my house every other week to visit.
Yeah.
You
Hey,
have to
Vinny.
have that relationship from foster parent to biological parent. Because if you don't, it's going to be ugly.
That's
It's
an
going to be an
important point
ugly
right there that she just
relationship.
said. Did you hear that, Irwin?
You're
Listen to
going to
this.
get.
Yes.
Listen to what she just said here.
Yes.
Her parents had done some things drug wise, and they had done some time for it. And after she was adopted, I even took this child to the jail so she could meet her father, even though she doesn't know that that's who he is. But I wanted him to have the opportunity to see her. And I have a relationship now that if he wants to see her, he can contact me. And her biological grandfather sees her every other week. He comes to my house every other week to visit. You have to have that relationship from foster parent to biological parent. Because if you don't, it's going to be ugly.
Yep.
It's going to be an ugly relationship. You're going to hate each other. You're going to feel like you're against each other. And that's not the way that this system should work.
Yep, I
If
agree
we're
with that. I agree with
truly
that
supposed to
1,000%. And that should be a mandatory thing. When you get your TPR orders and everything, I think that the biological parents, as long as they're not inflicting any sort of damage or furthering any sort of abuse or neglect that would be harmful towards the kids, that should be not only an option, but that should be mandatory. These kids deserve to know where they're from and who they're from and why they're from and so on. That's what this is all about. Like if you're trying to preserve the family unit, the last thing you need to be doing is hanging out the all the oh Jesus, I lost my thought there. Sorry guys. The last thing you need to be doing is hanging out that information. But I think that should be a mandatory thing that we start doing. Not only pushing towards is that we keep anonymous, and this could be good for the letter to the president, Vinny.
Yep.
Keep
Yeah,
foster
definitely.
kids, keeping foster kids anonymous throughout the school systems. That way, that they're not bullied. Like that's a good point to give to President Trump and to his wife and to Vice President Vance and so on. That's a good,
Yeah.
solid thing that it could be very simple um, shoot through the ranks and get that information up there and out of there so that they know that everything's gonna be okay. So yeah, I don't know where Kim went to. She took off out of here, I guess.
She's
Uh,
no, she's having internet issues. She's on the phone with the internet company.
oh, okay, good. So yeah, let's continue. You got anything more to say about this?
Hello. Hello, Jonathan. No, the only thing I got to say is that people should keep to themselves and not share information. Nobody knows, and the kid doesn't get hurt. I mean,
Yeah,
as far as school goes and the bullying, I mean, people don't have to know that that's a foster child. I mean, it doesn't have to be talked about, so the kid doesn't get bullied.
right. I agree. And do you think that kids would sense though if their foster parents picked them up from school or something per se, or off near the end of the bus stop? Do you think that they get treated in a way differently by every other, like if they're not your kids or they're in a foster home? Do you think that they get treated
How
equally
would
as the
those
other?
other kids know? How would those other kids know that the adult that's picking them up is not their parent? How
I
would
don't
they
know. How do
know?
they know? How do they know?
They don't know. So they see an adult picking up a kid. That's his mother. That's his father.
Okay, well, what if they don't know who their parents are and they've never been to the house or whatever, so they can't,
Hey,
tell the
Jonathan.
difference? Okay.
You're talking about the kids at school, right? You're not talking about the foster child.
Correct. Correct. We're talking about how the
Right,
foster child
right,
is being treated by the kids at the
right,
schools and things
right,
like
right. So the kids, so the foster child might invite some of his kids, his friends from school, to his house.
that.
They're not going to
Okay.
sit around and say, "Well, this is a foster house." I
Yeah.
don't think that's going to happen.
Well, I mean, it could be a foster house, if their name's
Oh, you
Foster.
mean a group home? You mean a group home?
Well, no, I'm just saying. I mean, that one's there is kind of that's. I agree. I agree with you, but also that's kind of a tricky thing. You don't want to just go putting out, like putting kids into these foster homes or whatever they want to call them, because I'm sure that there's a little different buzz in the air, if you will, about like when you're in a foster home. Maybe
I
not so
don't
many
still
pictures.
don't get it, except for if it's racially different. For example, say a white family adopts a black kid.
Why
Well,
would
right
that be?
off the bat,
Well,
why
where
why
would
would that be what?
what?
That would be something kids will look at. Oh, wait a minute, you're black and your mom and dad are white, and that could be a questionable thing. But let's say you have a white kid that's with foster parents that happens to be white. The kids are going to assume that's his parents.
Okay.
Or you see a white family and they have an Asian child. Oh, that's going to be looked upon like, gee, wait a minute, you're Asian and your parents are Caucasian. That could be a question thing. Are you adopted? Are you
Right.
foster? Okay,
Mhm.
but if
Yep.
an Asian family adopted an Asian child,
Yep.
they're going to look at it as, no, that's their parents. The
Yeah.
Asian, uh, the Asian parents and that little Asian girl, that's their parents. They're not going to ever know that that child is adopted unless somebody says something.
So let's say it's fair to say at this point that to save the integrity of the child and all of this stuff, they need to be, in most cases, put into an ethnic class that they need to belong in with the families. They need to be put into the proper homes to be raised in after they're terminated.
Not
Is what you're saying?
necessarily. No, no,
No.
no,
Well, I mean, to
not
try to avoid.
necessarily. I brought that piece up because you said as if people know the child is different, maybe foster. And I brought it up for that reason.
Yeah.
But you can have a black child in a white family, and nowadays kids don't even think twice about it. It's like, oh, okay, it's your parents, period. And by the way, so what? You're a foster. I know a lot of other foster kids in my school.
Mhm.
It's different than the back in the day, Darren.
Oh yeah.
Nowadays, everything goes. Nobody questions stuff like that.
Yeah. Everything's different now. Everything's
Everything's different. Nobody
the
nobody
playground
is looking
justice.
at it with a slanted eye.
Oh, whoa, whoa, easy. Um,
What happened?
yeah, just stand crooked with one shoe off. Let's try that. But um, what
Try the
I'm
shoe
saying is,
off?
yes, take your
Huh.
one shoe off and you'll be leaning, Herbert. You can't see the picture straight if you have one shoe off. Opposed to saying slanted eye. I was just saying, take your shoe off, be unbalanced. But my point is this: is that in the older days, when I was growing up, you were growing up, Herbert, and you had some kids say something to you on the playground. You were taught to, if someone doesn't say something nice to you, you go pop them one,
Defend
right?
yourself.
Right? You
Yep.
defend yourself, right? And your integrity and everything. And they're not allowed to do that anymore. So these kids are just being ridiculed and bullied. I think some of these old remedies, I mean, all of us know that our parents said, if someone ever hits you, you hit them back. Like
You
that's one of
Yeah.
like the
you
things that you can
talking about?
remember.
Our parents locked us out of our goddamn house and told us to stay outside until midnight
Yeah.
Why they did that?
because that's the way it was
Well,
back then.
no, but if
They
somebody,
knew what we were.
no, what I'm trying to say, Vinny, is if a child, if another child in school was harassing you and beating up on you, you're saying your parents would lock you out of the house?
No,
No, saying that to go out and play. Like at the end of the day, it was like, all right, you guys go out and play after you did your chores or whatever. You go out and play and don't come
Yeah.
back till the lights. Make sure you're in the house by the time that the street lights come on or whatever.
Oh yeah, I get that. I understand that. Yeah.
Right. Well, you didn't.
But
That's why.
we were talking about something else.
I don't think we were. I think that's why we went off
We
on
were
that.
talking about foster kids being bullied by other kids.
Correct. And we were talking about measures that go on at the home with foster
Yeah,
kids. And then he didn't even get to
yeah.
finish what his point was about all of that. Because we went into a let's model this stuff. So Vinny, what were you saying? Let's finish that part up there.
the point is that when we were growing up as kids, we were always taught to defend ourselves and defend our integrity and defend our characteristics.
Yeah.
We weren't pussies back then. These kids
Okay.
nowadays that are are growing up in this day and age are all wimpy behind the wet eared kind of kids that, oh, we're going to use the system and blame everything on our parents and blah, blah, blah. And no, we were brought up way differently than you. We were brought up to live on a street and to play with all of our friends on the block or our family who lived on the block.
Yeah.
There was no one watching us at all times because everyone on that block would watch everyone's kids.
Right, but the point is that a foster kid would have defended themselves. If someone said, nah, you're a foster kid, I bet you, darn tootin', that foster kid would have cracked someone right in the nose.
Yep.
And I
I
think what
probably
Vinny's
assisted
saying,
with it.
but Vinny's saying nowadays, if that happens, that they won't crack them in the nose. Am I correct, Vinny?
No, they're all pussies nowadays.
Yeah. So he's saying they will not crack them in the nose.
No one has the cajones to stand up for themselves. That's why we're getting run over by all these, government entities anyway. Because nobody has the cajones, the brass nuts, to stand up to these guys and tell them, no, we've had enough. And that starts
Except
way
for
back
me.
in the playground days. That starts way back in the days of the playground. No doubt about it. Like that's when you started realizing that this was real, and so on and so forth. So I'm gonna yeah. So Kim's not coming back, huh?
I I don't know what she's doing.
Hey Kim, come back. All right. Well, I mean, we should. I'm not going to continue on with her highlights here if she's not going to be in here to join them with them. Jonathan, I really hope that you can get the CPS caseworker to watch the show, because is that would be
Oh, there she
huge.
is.
Oh, there's Kim, Saved by the Bell.
Boom. Can we hear you?
There's Kim.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yay, got it
Good
done.
deal.
Awesome. There's I guess because the time of day, everybody.
Wow. Wow.
Ask Kim that question, Darren, about the foster child in the school.
Which part of it, Herbert? There's like a 12-part question there.
The part
Yeah, we were
that has to do with the bullying.
We were branching off of your conversation with your guest earlier and talking about what is implemented to protect this CPS child victim, like what is being done to help them with any of their problems that they're having out in the playground or at the home. Like, what are some things that need to be done to help make sure that bullying and the kids being in foster care aren't discovered and seen? So you're still Kim Page. You're not a foster
What
child.
I
You know what I mean?
understood from that foster. Yeah. From what I understood, at least in North Carolina, absolutely nothing's done to protect that child's identity. The child is called only by their first name, but their parents' full name is called when the case is called. So unless the child is registered under the foster parents' last names, everybody knows who the child is.
Even the other fellow students would know that that child is a foster child.
Yeah. I mean, the kids
How-
aren't stupid. They don't.
Okay. So
I hate
they're
my
being
internet,
bullied.
guys.
So they're being bullied in the schoolyard because the child is a foster child. What should or could be done about that? What do you recommend?
Yeah.
Honestly, the only thing I can recommend is the just advocate to make sure that the child has gotten into some sort of therapy sooner. Maybe talk to the counselor at the school to go ahead and start there. If the CPS provider is delayed, let the child know that the child it's not the child's fault. The child's there, and honestly, I personally would ask the school if it would be possible to do an assembly and get all the kids together and explain to them what foster care is and how traumatic it can be for their classmate. A lot of these kids, when they realize that, this is the same family member die, in a lot of ways, these kids will rally around the foster children and they'll love on them and support them. But when they think that they're weird and they're ostracized,
That makes a lot. That makes a lot of good sense. Educate the other kids.
Yeah.
Then they won't bully. They won't bully the foster child because the other kids are educated to what foster children are.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yep. And then, a lot of the kids that are being bullied, they're being bullied because the parents are telling their children that those kids are or this, that, and the other. A lot of times if you educate the child, just like with this transsexual LGBTQ stuff that they're doing in the school, they're bringing in transvestites to read books to them, and they're talking when you actually have female anatomy. The reason they're doing that is children are so much more open-minded. So children, if an assembly is done, they may actually be able to educate their own parents as well and keep their parents from being gases over a situation like this.
Right. I like that. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think that it is the responsibility of the department or the foster parents to keep the identity somewhat sneaky, somewhat secret when the kids moved, or do they just put it out on blast for everybody?
It's responsibility of CPS.
You mean
they're the ones who have custody of these children, have custody of the children. They're the one that has guardianship, what have you, so to speak. It's their legal responsibility. If the child falls and breaks their arm on the playground, CPS.
We lost you again, Kim.
CPS? She says is the one that's going to be responsible if that child falls in the playground because they're really the guardian, and the foster care. I get what she's saying. The foster care parents have nothing to do with that. But the funny part is, Vinny, if your child fell on the playground, CPS would be coming after you.
Yep, they would. That they would.
You go to places like this.
Because all these people care about is a fucking paycheck at the end of the day.
Right. And that's wrong, right? Like, that's completely wrong.
Yep.
That kid needs to feel loved and feel cared for and all of that. And to do it solely based on a check that they get, when we all know, we agree to not even disagree on this one, that money can be used back with the families more effectively and efficiently, opposed to having to come out, be here in the hustle and bustle, because I think the library is over there. Oh no, that's done now, right? I was thinking it was still at the other place. Relish the moment. But anyway, so yeah, Kim, that was a good show. That was a good show that you had today. There was a lot of information in there. Vinny, you had a great show as well. I loved it. I know you were not feeling well, so hopefully you got that bug out of you.
Oh, I'm still working on it. I got sniffles and I've been tired as shit lately.
Oh, that's one of the signs.
Yep.
So
Take any NyQuil. Try taking NyQuil.
I don't take that shit, Herbert. I'm an all natural kind of person. I look for natural remedies.
Oh, okay.
I don't believe in medications that come from somewhere I don't know.
Gotcha. I understand.
That's a good thing to go by, Vinny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if it's for your kids.
Sure is.
That's another point. When children, like Vinny he wants to keep natural, and he wants his kids to be natural. But if parents, if they lose the kids to foster care, you don't know what the foster parents are giving the child.
Right.
That's a good point.
What's the point, Herbert?
That was the point. Like Vinny said, he's all natural. So other parents that are all natural too. But if they lose their child and it's given to a family that believes in high level medicines, when the child gets sick, they're going to intoxicate the child with medications that can make the child more sicker because the child's been used to natural form of medications and stuff. Golden seal and garlic and everything else, natural stuff. And the foster parent doesn't do natural stuff.
Or they don't know that, or they don't know the kids'
Happened when
allergies either.
children were taken.
Jim, you're breaking up again. That sucks.
My
Jim.
friend
That's so
Chris,
bad
his
to me.
children were taken. His youngest
go.
3 kids were 3 at a vaccination. The moment CPS took them, they took them all and got them called up. Every one of their vaccines in the first week of CPS taking them.
But Chris, am I correct?
Yep.
Oh, Kim? Kim?
Jim, do you copy? Over. Kim.
Yeah.
There she is.
I said that Chris, being natural, he wasn't given the shot. You're breaking up, I think.
He did not want kids on any of that stuff.
Right. Now, my question to you is, do parents have any input on stuff like that?
Nope.
What'd she say?
Nope.
No. So parents don't have any input. Yeah, okay.
Once terminated, you might as well just forget that you had any sort of any relations with that child. I mean, even though you're still going to fight and everything, but as far as in the court's eyes, that relationship with you and the child's over with. So you're not privy to any information at that point. However, while you're going through these reunification services and these things, you're supposed to still engage in different classes and so on and so forth to ensure that you do and get done the things that they want you to get done, which I think a lot of it is nonsense. But that's my opinion, and I'll stick with it. I'll stay with that. Yeah, it's really really.
It sounds like those classes are giving parents a false hope. Because I'm hearing people going to classes, but they still don't get the kids back.
Right. Well, I mean, that's another thing too. At what point is it that they need to stop? How do they do that transition of telling your parents, the kids, that you're going to reunify, and then they go to where you're not going to see your parents anymore?
And your parents are still going to class.
Right. Everybody's still involved with what's going on, and supposedly still everything's game on. But then, all of a sudden you get this sideways, and then kids are just they need to win. No, when is it that they decide to tell them that they're not going to see their parents, and what did they tell them?
Good question. Because my kids were the last time that I saw my kids, they just took my kids away from me. We didn't even have a last visit, a goodbye visit. And they didn't tell me. They didn't sit there and say you're never going to see your child again. I was just told the judge's order came through and we're not letting you have business. That was it.
Wow.
Hey, Darren.
Hey, what?
I'm about to send you something to see what you think. I just sent it to the attorneys.
What is that, Jonathan? You said here in Canada, parents have an input through a lure.
A lover?
Oh, I think
lure.
that's a French word. I think that's a French word.
I
Okay.
think they were probably trying to say lawyer.
Yeah.
A lawyer. Okay.
All right, I sent it to you,
Yeah.
Darren. It's on Messenger.
Okay.
With CPS in the States, you have no input in anything at all. They wanted to get my children the COVID vaccine, and I did not want to get the COVID vaccine for my children. The Fosters were
Let's
hell
not
bent
talk about
on
this.
getting my
Hold on,
children
don't
the
talk about
COVID
this.
vaccine, and I had to fight in court to make it to where they didn't get the COVID vaccine.
Stop. We cannot talk about that. If we talk about that one more time, we're suspended. So please do not
Talk
bring
about
up
what?
the C word
Oh.
and the B word. We're already under warning, so do not. We can't bring that subject up, or we'll be suspended. Sorry, Kim. I just wanted to get it covered up before they heard it. Yeah. So do that. Say it again, Kim, in a roundabout way without using the CV word.
The Fosters were hell bent to get my children the China virus vax.
Sure, yeah.
And I didn't want it. I did not want it at all, but they were demanding that my children get it. And I had to fight and have the judge order them not to give it to my children.
Right.
And CPS workers told me I had no choice in it.
Yeah, we had to do the same. We wanted the same fight. We were in the same fight. And this is the thing: is if you're their parents at that point, then why is it not your say in what goes on? Why do they get to have that other say? Why does the foster parents get to make that decision for you? They shouldn't, and nor should CPS, because you are still their parents until that order is made and says that you're terminated. You are still their parents up until that point.
Yes.
You're their parents for the rest of your life. You're their parents for the rest of your life. You know what I mean? So
I didn't have anything. I was not allowed anything when it came to any of my children's medical decisions. Not a single thing was given to me as an option to be able to say, I want, this medical treatment or that medical treatment. I was not allowed to do anything. I wasn't even allowed to go to any of their doctor's visits.
Yeah.
And the thing was, I was never even accused of anything. I was not one time was I accused of hurting my children. There was no abuse. There was no neglect ever alleged against me.
No, the same with me.
As a matter of fact, the workers in court, the workers actually said that they had never seen any signs of abuse or neglect by me against my children, that they never had any issues thinking that I might be on drugs or have an issue with being on drugs. There was no reason at all for them to take my children except for they had me arrested to do it. So they said we took her children because she was arrested, but I was only arrested because they had the cops arrest me.
Wow. It's just something that this is supposed to be based on. This whole thing is supposed to be based on what harm is brought in the imminent danger to the child, but yet a bulk of us don't have any imminent danger situation even relevant to the situation, let alone involving in this situation. right?
Exactly.
Like, what was the imminent danger? Like, where's the imminent danger here? Like,
I mean,
let's take a tally of
my
that.
children, I was arrested. So technically there was that imminent danger, but the reason I was arrested is because they made the cops arrest me. There was nothing to warrant my being arrested before CPS demanded it of the officers.
Wow.
And when you got arrested, what did they charge you with?
They didn't even they charged me with a traffic ticket, said that I didn't go to court for it.
In other words, you didn't make an appearance for a traffic ticket?
I didn't have a traffic ticket.
Oh.
I had no open traffic violations. I had none. But they said that I didn't go to court on a traffic violation.
Wow.
And then how did that affect? And then how did that put your child in imminent danger?
I was in jail for 19 days before the judge was finally agreed to let me out. And he finally agreed to let me out. He finally agreed to let me out when he realized that there was no traffic violation.
Wow. That's a real railroad.
So 19 days I was in jail. 19 days. My children's godfather, who was a police officer in the county I was arrested, had offered to take care of my kids. Their godmother, who was a deacon's wife at the time, ended up asking to take care of the kids. This is their godparents, and CPS wouldn't wait the 15 minutes that it was going to take for their godmother to get there to pick them up, so that to keep them out of foster care. So they had, because they created this situation where I was arrested, they had imminent circumstances, but the circumstances never would have come up had they not faked a whole situation to have me arrested for.
Right.
So, Kim, you don't live in Maine, so the only other place that will do something like that would be Alabama or Mississippi.
Alabama. That was Alabama, yes.
There you go. Yep. I was just trying to think of which states would do something like that.
Alabama.
Oh, yeah. Either Alabama or Maine.
Yep. Or, well, actually, Alabama or Maine. Yep. Chris, his case,
Louisiana has a tendency to do stuff like that too.
Yeah. Chris, his case, they actually put felony charges on him, saying that he kidnapped his children, who he never lost custody of when he took them out. He took them out of state because they were moving, and he had custody of his children. Had never lost custody of his children, but CPS went to the police and lied to the police and told them that they had physical possession of his children, that he came to a visit and took his kids off the visit.
Wow. So, what are some solutions for these problems that we brought up tonight? What are some solutions? Anybody got any?
The obvious and biggest solution that I can come up with is that CPS has to be knocked down and brought up differently. People who are working there in different offices and different positions have to be let go and bring in new people with different education about CPS.
Well, if that's going to happen, then we have to start in the social work schools, because those are the places that are educating these social workers to be these shitty people. And the reason they're educating them like that is because CPS has a direct hand in their education and the program that is developed to educate them.
So that means you got to start in the higher education schools. in academia.
You're gonna have to start by talking to those students. The problem is you're never going to be able to do it on an official basis. You're not going to be able to go into their classroom and discuss things with them. You're going to have to catch them walking out of their classroom because I've already tried this. The instructors will not let somebody come in and speak negatively about CPS because CPS is their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Right. So it has to be the chairman of the department, and the chairman of the department has to be told by his or her boss, which is on a higher level, which comes down from Washington, D.C.
Right.
Washington, D.C. can make that happen.
Yeah, it can. But the legislators in DC try to say that it's not a federal issue, it's a state issue. And then the states want to say
that was the
that
previous that was the previous administration.
Yeah, well, I mean, no. I'm talking about the senators and congressmen are making that statement, not Trump and not his administration.
No,
Talking about the people that are
no.
sitting in Congress.
Yes,
Those
but I'm
people
saying
are
we're under
saying that
different.
it is not a federal issue.
Right, but we have a new administration that's doing a whole lot of stuff. Even as of 10
Ah,
minutes ago, he just signed another
yeah.
something or another. I was looking at.
Hey guys, I want to tell you a little story. So most of you know that I work in taking care of disabled adults. I
Yes,
started a new position last week as a residential supervisor for a group home. And one of my clients was adopted out of foster care. When I tell you that his adoptive parents are as bad, if not worse, than his biological parents have been accused of being, this young man, a parent, according to his adoptive parents, he and his three brothers were sexually abused by his biological father. And his mother, this part is true. His mother was an alcoholic and she drank when she was pregnant. So he's got fetal alcohol syndrome. Well, apparently she wasn't able to defend the kids when they're being abused by dad. They're taken away, they're put into a foster home. The foster parents are these massively religious people. I mean, the Amish have nothing on these people. They adopted all three boys out of foster care. Mm-hmm. And they shame these boys for what happened to them. My client, his brothers are not in my care, but he is. These people had this boy, and I'm sure they did it to his brothers too. Had his testicles removed when he was a toddler.
wow.
They tell him he's gay, and they tell him God hates you if you're gay. You'll go to hell. And if you decide you're gay, you're not allowed around me or your family again.
Wow.
He is severely traumatized and abused by his adoptive parents because of the abuse that he allegedly suffered at the hands of his biological parents.
Wow.
It's sad. It is so sad.
That's a shame.
It is. It really is.
We're about out that time, guys.
Are we
Darren, you want
staying
to do
on
last
after the
words?
show or no? Yeah, I'm asking, Darren, do you want me to stay on after the show or no?
You know what? Not tonight, man. I got some things I got to do. I'm almost done with the website. So if you guys want to go ahead and do it, go ahead. But I'm going to pass out on that one.
Oh, okay. Vinny, did you want to stay on after the show?
I, I'm actually tired myself. And I got the show with Darren tomorrow. So,
Okay. I just want to know whether I should stay on or not.
Yeah, well, that's a good thing, Herbert. Good job.
Yeah.
all right. So
Well,
let's
Tim,
do
if
some
you,
last
if you
words.
want to
close it
talk,
up.
you got my number.
Yeah,
You do better. You can do better. Kim,
Kim,
you want to start some
last
last
words.
words?
sure. So guys, one thing that I always talk about at the end of my show is mental health awareness and suicide awareness when it comes to these situations. If you watched my show tonight, the foster parent herself said, never stop fighting. Never stop fighting for your children. Your children need you to continue to fight. It doesn't matter how hard it gets. Remember, you are the person that your children are going to look to when they learn how to survive this kind of hell. And if you can get through it and make it to the other side for when your children finally come home, that role model is something that they need more than you will ever realize. So if you feel like you can't deal with all this, call me, call Vinny, call Darren, call Herbert, call any of us. We will be more than happy to talk to you. We would much rather talk to you at 2 a.m. than have to tell your kids the truth of what happened.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thank you much for that one, Kim. Herbert.
Remember, don't get down on yourself if you can avoid doing that because your children were taken away. If you had known better, you would have done better and you wouldn't be in the situation you're in.
Yep.
Any one of us could fall into that situation because of the system, the way it's set up. It's not fair. But on the other
Yep.
hand, if CPS and the police come to your door and you don't have a warrant, don't let them in. Don't open the door. If you answer the door, but don't open the door. Talk through the door. That can avoid them from coming in your home.
Yep. Good stuff. Vincent.
Oh, I just want to iterate. Don't forget tomorrow at 1 p.m. to check out um, me, Darren, and the Angry Citizen doing the main show. It's at 1 o'clock, and then followed by 7:30 is my show. So make sure you guys are paying attention to the times. Um, and we will try to keep you guys updated as much as possible. In the meantime, go check out Darren's book. Stay Calm, CPS is Coming on Amazon.
Oh yeah,
Let's try
thanks,
to get
Vinny.
this book out there to everyone. It's a great book. It's a great read. I've been reading it myself, so I've kind of discovering a couple things in there that I've pulled out for myself. So it's really knowledgeable information, guys. So please check out Darren's book. It is amazing. It's packed with tons of information. I hope you
Thanks,
guys
Vinny.
have a great night, and we will see you here tomorrow.
Yes. And don't forget, you always have a chance to get back in this fight. You know, there's always a way to get yourselves back in the courtroom. So don't just throw your towel in. Don't just wave your hands and say it's over when you get TPR'd. We're all sitting here working our asses off trying to find a way to beat these bastards. So don't give up. Just don't give up. Period. Keep fighting. Um, every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You got to keep fighting for your kids because they do want to see you. They're missing their parents. So don't ever think that they're not. That being said, I'm the CPS Punisher. We are out of here. Have a good night, everybody.
All right. Take care.
There it is. Sorry about that.
getting crazy, baby, chill. Don't medicate, just meditate. You waking up now, well, baby, you hella late. Educate, look at what's going on, let it resonate, accelerate. Find your inner hunger like you never ate. Agenda is to push the hate, separate and segregate. Don't celebrate quite yet, the storm is coming, Q, for heaven's sake. Violence that they demonstrate, instigate and penetrate. The values of our country and our God is what they desecrate. My fighters ain't no featherweight, pulling out the seams of the fabric that they fabricate. They feed us lies, manipulate, intimidate through fear and force, forcing us to sit and wait till we come together, congregate, and then we liberate. Praying that you give me strength to find some love amongst the hate. Marching on these streets of blood till I see the golden gates. Troubadour and troubled souls, one of God's servants. Blades out, cut the grass till we see the serpents.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now.
I know the truth is hard to swallow, just digest it. Suspected something's going on, but chose to just neglect it. Deflected by some breaking news, oh, we just accept it. Expected just to fall in line and follow their perspective. Don't question their objective, but I got a lot of questions. How these kids molested, but nobody's been arrested. Read it in the testament, these children are protected. So I'm fighting all these terrorists, both foreign and domestic. Refuse to be directed, blind, not a sheep. Only kneel to my God, so I'm dying on my feet. Silence when we speak, but there's violence in the street. I've been rolling with the punches, I can't take it on the cheek. Drink from a glass half full, I'm optimistic. People are sadistic, so vicious and malicious. Praying for assistance to overcome opposition, or I'm gonna start resisting and then I'll pray for forgiveness.
One day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you fools. We've been dancing with the devil way too long. I know it's fun, but get ready to pay your dues. Oh God, come back home. This crazy world is filled with liars and abusers. We need you now before we're too far gone. I hope one day they finally see the truth. God, we need you now. 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 One day, one day, one day I hope you see the truth. This puppet show stays on because of you.